guys ready for a lesson on what a one-match show looks like? Because Tomas and I are going to teach you what a one-match show looks like.
I'm very disappointed that we didn't get any guts in that main event. Worst show ever. 0 out of 10.
I want a refund.
I'm not going to be that harsh on this show.
You want guts? Go look at the Nickelodeon section on Paramount Plus. But welcome once again to another fun AEW rant session with Tomas and I. If you guys are new to the channel, Tomas and I are talking about wrestling stuff every single month over here on the channel. Of course, we're talking about Blood and Guts on Dynamite that aired just wrapped up a couple of hours ago as of the time of recording. Probably will be up by tomorrow at this stage. But if you guys are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button down below. We will be talking about WrestleMania Backlash pretty soon, and I know Tomas hates that pay-per-view name, so I had to sneak one in. And hit that thumbs up button by the
right now. Yeah.
Yep.
Disclaimer right now, if any AEW stands get upset over anything that we say tonight, come back in a couple weeks if you want to hear us rip WWE a new asshole. We are equal opportunity offenders. We talk shit about everybody. Just getting that out of the way now. I feel like we have to say that before every single AEW review we do. And also, again, another disclaimer, we like AEW.
Yep, we would not be spending $50 on Double or Nothing at the end of the month, just saying. So, yeah, why don't we just go ahead and kick it off with a big match. I was surprised this match kicked off the show. Kenny Omega, the Triple Crown, Quadruple Crown World Champion, whatever they want to call him, and his new lackey, Michael Nakazawa. His gimmick is awesome. I love the fact that he's like Kenny Omega's like bellboy, basically.
I loved how he comes out and he wrestles in his work uniform, in his AEW polo shirt and his headset and his badge. Like, this man is here for work, and he is in here basically to be, Kenny Omega's scapegoat. Just like I'm going to take a beating. I'm just going to put Nakazawa right here, and I'm just going to get the hell out of here.
He's here to work. Yep. And Don. Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh no! Go on. I was just gonna introduce the opponents, but go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say that Don Callis accompanies Michael Nakazawa to the ring. You don't see Kenny Omega at first, and he says Kenny Omega is not in the arena, but don't worry, Michael Nakazawa is gonna wrestle his opponents all by himself. And I'm like, a handicap match? Okay.
I almost fell for that because it just seems like the Kenny Omega thing to do. And the look on Nakazawa's face was great. Like, his reaction was basically, I just got thrown under the bus again. Why do I work for this place?
Yep. And and here's the thing. I actually bought it hook, line, and sinker because you have your world champion in a tag team match here. Like, he shouldn't be taking a pinfall here. And the opponents, Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston, should be getting the win here, all things considered. But I thought it was a smart way to write Kenny Omega out of it. But sure enough, there he is. He mugs them. Out come Moxley and Kingston. Omega, beats them up during their entrance in the crowd. And I'm like, what was the point of Don Callis coming out and saying that Omega wasn't going to be in this?
Probably just to distract the baby faces, honestly. That's what I got from that.
Incorrect answer.
Just to distract Moxley and Kingston long enough for them to, yeah, exactly.
In other words,
before we get into the match itself, AEW... before we get into the match itself, AEW brought up a really good point. This is the largest crowd they've had since January 2020, which I found very interesting, and it made me very happy because if there's one thing I feel like AEW has been lacking this past year, and this, obviously this is no fault of their own. This is under circumstances that are out of their control. They have been missing the live crowds very, very much. So has WWE, so has every single wrestling promotion, but just hearing that large of a crowd, and we wouldn't even get to see how large this crowd was until the main event. It was nice. And hopefully AEW can keep this up. I've noticed they've been alternating weeks of when they have live crowds and when they don't. But they did announce on later in the show that next week's Dynamite will have a live crowd as well.
Oh, so, and it's a stacked ass Dynamite next week too. But Kenny Omega really does make his shit look easy. There is, in fact, heat on Eddie Kingston because, you know, it's a tag team match. The crowd is chanting, "Let's go, Kenny." He's a heel. Kingston no-sells his chops, and I'm like, man, Eddie Kingston is a freaking beast, man. Like, he's more of a beast than I give him credit for.
He really is. And I can't believe I'm saying, I didn't think Eddie Kingston, babyface Eddie Kingston was something I needed in my life. But here he is, kicking ass.
Just like how Kevin Owens is a babyface is something I never knew I needed in my life. And, you know, lo and behold, here's AEW's version of it, I guess.
Yeah, and here's a gripe that I'm surprised you don't have with this match, Zach. In the beginning, Nakazawa and Omega were getting the better of Kingston, and JR has the good line of, is this a Texas tornado match?
Yeah.
You know, Moxley, Kingston and Nakazawa are not tagging in and out. Omega and Nakazawa are not tagging in and out of this match at the beginning. And the commentators do have to, you know, just reiterate, no, this is a regular tag team match. I feel like it reminds me of old tag team matches where I would see where, yes, there would be an initial brawl in the beginning, but once they got, you know, the crowd is done getting excited, once they got they're able to settle in, you know, then they're able to start doing the tags in and out, which I agree with you. I didn't see anything wrong with it, but I just thought it was funny that JR went out of his way to ask if this was a Texas tornado tag match.
Well, and they're also heels, so they have to cheat, you know? It's, you know, so that's why I didn't necessarily have a problem with it. But to your point, Moxley does get the hot tag, and he is stomping a mud hole and walking it dry, and JR's heart grew 3 sizes that night because he got to make a Stone Cold reference. Nakazawa, I noticed, was bleeding from the mouth at this point. I don't know what from, but alas. A big spike pile driver by Moxley, and Omega ends up stopping the pin. And then after that, when Moxley goes to kick his ass, Omega bails from the match anyway. So again, I rest my case. The whole Don Callis gimmick with him saying that Omega wasn't in the building, entirely pointless. So anyway, Moxley does pin Nakazawa with what Michael Cole called the wacky line at one point. And yeah, you know, it was your typical opening tag team match. The right people went over and the right person was pinned.
Yeah, it was an easy night for the world champion, to say the least.
Yeah, easy.
I feel like
easy night for the baby faces too, to that extent.
Yeah. Moxley, I mean, obviously the Moxley Omega program is over for the world title. I feel like this was just something to keep them busy for the time being, but this would not be the end, because afterward the Young Bucks would make their presence known to confront Moxley and Kingston, only to be followed by the Good Brothers from Impact Wrestling, who also joined in the beatdown. I have a couple of gripes with this. Number one, AEW, you were this close to greatness. You could have had a super heel faction of not only the AEW World Champion and the AEW Tag Team Champions, but the Impact Wrestling Tag Team Champions as well. But they fucked up when Impact Wrestling just had to go and put the titles on FinJuice, who are a tag team from New Japan Pro Wrestling. They just couldn't resist themselves. And I'm just like, the opportunity is sitting right there to have a super heel group with 2 sets of tag team champions from 2 different wrestling companies, and it all would have just fit perfectly. And I'm so upset that that's not the case.
I get what you're saying, but that's not necessarily AEW's fault. That was Impact's booking there. So, I mean, I get what you're saying,
Good
but
point.
Still...
I should say, I'm sorry, AEW and Impact.
Yeah.
The opportunity was right there. The writing was on the wall.
Yeah.
You have the Elite, you got the Bucks, you have Omega, you have the Good Brothers. You could have had, you know, if Omega's gimmick is the belt collector, shouldn't he be sending his cronies off to other wrestling promotions to get their tag team titles as well?
Oh man, if the freaking Bucks are the good, if the Bucks of the Good Brothers showed up on SmackDown, I might pass out if that was in storyline.
Yeah.
But
my point being, the Good Brothers should be Impact Wrestling Tag Team Champions right now, and that would have just made this whole thing that much better. But the other point I wanted to bring up is that why do Moxley and Kingston think they can fight these guys by themselves? It's a 5-on-2 advantage.
Yes.
It's time to start, you know, looking through your little black book. Yeah. It's time to start looking through your little black book of homies and start recruiting them because
Black Book of Homies.
You have your ass kicked. You have your ass kicked by these guys like 3 weeks in a row. When are you going to realize you can't fight these guys on your own?
Where's Tyler Black when John Moxley oh wait, never mind. But the Bucks and the Good Brothers do mug Moxley and Kingston. In other words, the Bucks will see you guys at Double or Nothing for the tag titles. So there you go. And
we're just waiting for that official announcement.
We're waiting for that official announcement. And with as stacked of a tag team division as AEW has, which we'll certainly talk about, and there was a shining spot on this card, but with as stacked of a division as they have, they go with Mox and Eddie Kingston to challenge for the tag titles, and it's a random thrown together tag team at their biggest show of the year.
And also AEW has been doing this for a few pay-per-views. May we not forget Chris Jericho and MJF
but they were
the tag team titles of the last pay-per-view.
They were in the Inner Circle though, so they're still technically a team.
Well, then Moxley and Kingston, they're just best buddies.
Yeah, Mox and Kingston are just the two drifters, Yeah.
The point being is that AEW has a really stacked tag division, and unfortunately, in my opinion, this isn't just an AEW thing. This isn't just a WWE thing. Tag team wrestling is very neglected nowadays, and that makes me sad because I love me some tag team wrestling, and there's so many good tag teams out there, but they're being neglected. And it makes me sad.
They really are. They're wallflowers. Good Brothers hit Mox with a magic killer, and that's basically the segment. But oh boy, you ready, Tomas? Are you ready for Cody Rhodes versus QT Marshall?
To the fan in the audience that had the sign that said, "I'm probably the only QT fan out there," you're probably right.
I fucking hate this feud. I fucking hate it. I hate it.
I hate this guy.
Oh, it's so.
I hate QT Marshall.
God, poor Aaron Salau has to play second fiddle to this guy. I don't understand it.
First of all, it's Aaron Solo.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Nate, if you're watching this, I'm sorry if I offended your best buddy, but he has to play second fiddle to QT Marshall. Come on now.
Should we go give a little context of why we hate QT Marshall? I'll go first because I was the first person to jump on this QT Marshall bandwagon.
You can go ahead and rag on this guy as much as you want. I have the same exact feelings, so I'll let you go ahead and unload.
Since day fucking one of watching AEW, I see this guy just hanging out with the Rhodes family, and I don't know who he is,
who the fuck
or why
is
he's
that?
carrying around an apple, and why he's just following Cody Rhodes around like a lost puppy, and why he's so boring and bland in the ring, and why he formed a random tag team with Dustin called what was it? The
Natural Nightmares
Brothers. The Natural Nightmares, yeah, there was that. And then he's randomly in a relationship with Allie, which was a crime in its own because you took her away from her awesome gimmick as the bunny.
Yep.
And that was a whole thing that just fell apart, blew up in their faces. And when you look at this guy in the ring, he's so unoriginal and so, I don't want to say pathetic, but he's so unoriginal that his finishing move is borrowed from Diamond Dallas Page.
Yep.
Like, every single time he uses the diamond cutter, they have to say, "Oh, DDP gave him permission to use that move." Why don't you be original and get your own fucking finishing move? You fucking tool.
That's his.
Okay,
hold on though. That's his whole gimmick though, is just stealing other people's moves. Because there was a point where he did hit a crossroads, which actually did make me smile. Because I love the whole trope of other wrestlers stealing their rivals' finishers. Like, they did it a lot in the Attitude Era, and they still do it to somewhat of an extent today, but, not as much in WWE anymore.
I agree.
QT Marshall pulls out the crossroads, and I'm like, how humiliating would that be?
Good point. I don't like, again, and then I feel like when I was watching him at that point, I was like, okay, redeem yourself by giving me a cool finisher. And he uses the diamond cutter. And I'm just like, I don't like this guy. And then he turns heel for no reason. And I'm just like, okay, at least you give me a reason to boo him. And he kind of, sort of has a good thing going. But, okay, call me crazy. But I think they should have held off this match until Double or Nothing. Hear me out.
Oh, I agree.
Number one, there was more build to be here, and they rushed it. There could have been more promos cut. There could have been more face-to-face interactions. There could have been more. QT Marshall could have had a better program with Dustin Rhodes on the show in a Texas Bull Rope match, because it was obviously building up to that.
Yes.
There was the cowbell involved, like literally last week. And Dustin was QT Marshall's former tag team partner. And you could have given a big win to QT Marshall. And Dustin probably could have got a good match out of him. But no, AEW likes to blow their load in the first couple weeks of a feud. Yeah. And they just, to jump the gun, they fed Marshall to Rhodes too soon. This feud easily could have been held off until Double or Nothing.
You know what this was?
But I digress.
You know what this was? This was the main event of Starrcade 1994. Any of you guys old school wrestling fans out there, you'll remember the main event of Starrcade 1994 for the WCW Championship was Hulk Hogan against the Butcher, otherwise known as his best friend, Brutus the Barber Beefcake, who, may I remind you, also rode Hogan's coattails, similar to how QT Marshall did to Cody Rhodes.
Exactly.
So,
and let me tell you something, brother. I'm sorry, I'll never say that again.
I'm done.
Marshall could have benefited from this feud. I honestly think he could have. He could have been legitimized as a heel. He could have taken the MJF route, because I say this to you a lot. What if, what would have been cool if Marshall would have won this match?
Yeah, I see what you're saying there, but I wouldn't have liked it just because, again, it's QT Marshall. But one pro,
and I agree.
One pro I will give this match though for what it is. I feel like, because these guys supposedly know each other really well. How much of this match do you think was improvised? Because I feel like they improvised a lot. I feel like these two,
a good amount of it.
If they really are best friends like they say they are, they could have gone in there blank, like a Chris Benoit and a Chavo Guerrero from back in the day. I've listened to podcasts where Chavo has said him and Benoit went into the ring, and he's like, okay, you blank? Yep, I'm blank. All right, yeah, we'll go 15 minutes. And, it felt like one of those matches, and, QT Marshall, of course, steals Cody Rhodes' finisher, but the psychology was fucking off in this match. I don't know what it was, but the referee...
It was WCW. It was 2001 WCW bad.
Yep. Near the beginning of the match, let me just bury the lead and tell you all what Tomas is talking about. Cody Rhodes basically wastes no time. He's beating the crap out of QT Marshall at the beginning of this match, and Cody goes for the gimmick around his waist, his weight belt, and the fucking referee pulls it away from him, and he doesn't let Cody Rhodes use it. He's like, "Nah, you can't use it because then I'll disqualify you. This is important." Not even 30 seconds later, QT Marshall pulls out his gimmick, his weight belt, and he hits Cody with it. Do you guys hear a bell?
Right in front of the referee.
You don't hear a bell.
This spot could have easily been rectified if Marshall would have pulled his belt out while the referee was taking care of Cody's belt and put it out, and while his back was turned to put the belt outside the ring, wham, hit him with the weight belt, hide the evidence, continue with the match. Yeah. Easy fix.
But nope.
And it doesn't end there. Later on in the match,
this was not advertised as a no disqualification match, was it?
No, it was, again, it screamed 2001 WCW. And Marshall and Rhodes make their way to outside of the ring, and Marshall gets into a little confrontation with Arn Anderson, and Arn Anderson just starts punching Marshall.
That has to be a DQ.
Straight up punching him. And then he grabs him and presses his face against the steel post.
Yeah.
Where's the disqualification there?
Yeah, that had to be a DQ right there, because if the punches from Arn weren't doing it, him grinding Marshall's face into the post, like, that was it. Ref, you call for the bell. But I mean, at least they ejected Arn Anderson from
Now,
ringside, like, so they kind of covered for it, but they kind of didn't. I'm like,
I understand that spot. You know, we've always seen, let's take Vicky Guerrero, for example. Excuse me. You know, she'll get involved. She'll put someone's leg on the rope. She'll trip up a wrestler when they're going into the ropes. Little interferences like that are fine for getting ejected. But if you are straight up just giving right hands to one of the participants, that's a disqualification. I'm sorry. That's a disqualification.
Has to be a DQ, but nope, the match continued.
It was silly.
Yeah.
It was silly. I want to think of something. Okay, now I'm going to get some positives of this match, so I don't think I'm totally ragging on it.
No.
Cody Rhodes hit a nice moonsault, and then for the first time, I think in the history of forever, at least unless it's in the indies somewhere, Cody Rhodes and QT Marshall start flipping over each other, trying to attempt a tombstone pile driver.
Yep.
And I'm thinking, no one's going to do this spot. No one does the tombstone. And then after like 3 or 4 rotations, which was pretty impressive, I'll give them that.
Yeah.
Rhodes hits a tombstone pile driver. A pretty damn good tombstone pile driver as well, which I feel was a nice tribute to The Undertaker, because Cody Rhodes has gone on account and told his story of the 2008 Royal Rumble, where Undertaker basically looked at Cody Rhodes and says, "Give me your best shot." And Undertaker basically gave Cody Rhodes the rub in that match. So I think that was a nice little tribute to The Undertaker.
Taker went out of his way to put Cody Rhodes over, so there you go. But yeah, ending in the match comes around. Cody does hit a crossroads, and he does let QT Marshall kick out of it for some reason. But that's because QT Marshall flips the bird and he taps out to the figure 4. Thank God, I think this is the end of this feud. Like, you can catch more of QT Marshall on Dark if you want to, but good Lord. I mean, this match was certainly better than I was expecting going in. I'm probably, if I'm being really, really nice, I'd give it 3 stars, but more realistically speaking, it's probably a 2.5, because that psychology towards the beginning was just inexcusable.
Yeah, this match had a little bit of good. It had a little bit of bad. It wasn't the worst thing in the world, but my God, less QT Marshall on my screen, the happier I'll be.
Yes, yeah. We do see one of his stable mates punch out Cody Rhodes after the match. Anthony Ogogo, I think his name is. Like a Golden Gloves boxer from England.
They are putting that punch to the gut very over.
Yes, yeah. It's almost like Big Show's punch to the face. They're putting that shit over.
I can't shit on this. If this guy is as legit as he thinks he is, I mean, as he says he is, let's see what AEW can do with him. I mean, I love me a good big man, so let's see what they can do with him.
There you go. He could turn out to be, he could turn out to be like a Big Show, or he could turn out to be like, a King Corbin, but digressing a little bit. So you have a nice little promo from Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky. To this point, by the way, this promo right here, I think, was the best part of the show. I'm not even lying, because Scorpio Sky cuts a very impassioned speech on Sting, because he put a heel hook on Sting last week and put him out of commission for a little bit. I wrote down a quote, "Who's afraid of the big black bat?" And I'm like,
that was great.
That's gonna be over at some point. And then
Sky was on top of it, and even Ethan Page giving a few words, which was pretty good too. As much as I hate this team, just because I feel like they could be doing more
so random
with Scorpio Sky and
it's
Ethan
so
Page.
Random.
Like, Ethan Page left Impact Wrestling while he was in a tag team, just so he could go be a part of another tag team here in AEW. At least the North was a good tag team. Not saying that Page and Sky are bad. They're amazing on their own. Like,
yep. They're great on their own, but playing into Chris's comments about the Lucha Bros that he made on another podcast.
You have a young buck.
They're great together, but they're great separate, but together they're unstoppable. I'm taking a page out of Chris's book here. So I don't know. Only time will tell, but Darby Allin does blindside the pair, and they brawl for a little bit. And freaking Ethan Page throws Darby Allin a big flight of stairs. This man has no fear. Like, I fear
concrete stairs.
Yes, I fear for this man's life every single time I watch him. Good Lord.
You hit the nail right on the head. He has no fear. I'm pretty sure if they went up to Darby Allin and said, "Hey, can we do a spot where we just chuck you off a roof?" He'll say, "Yeah, I'm okay with it."
Or better yet, how
about the man who did a 70-foot coffin drop?
Yep,
into a foam pit.
Yeah, how about? Yeah, do you want to jump off the Empire State Building? Yeah, sure, why not? Say the Empire State Building match.
Yeah.
If AEW ever goes to Madison Square Garden,
my gosh,
that's going to be a gimmick.
Which when they go back on the road, I could definitely see that being a possibility.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was a very good segment. I think this is leading to Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky versus Darby Allin and Sting at Double or Nothing. I don't want to see another cinematic deal. I want to see if Sting can actually, hold his own.
Yeah.
I feel like this would be a different type of match because if you look at Brian Cage and Ricky Starks, they're not. How do I say this? They're not as nimble as Sky and Page.
Exactly. Yep.
I feel like
they're
wrestlers
stocky.
Like Sky and Page.
Team Taz is full of stocky square gents, pretty much.
Exactly. That could, they could have a safe match with Sting. But Page and Sky and Allin will probably want to fly around that ring and do 450 splashes. Unfortunately, I think Sting's just going to have to stay on the apron for that kind of match. But let's see what they can do.
As long as there's no buckle bombs, I'll be good with it. But we do get a brief little squash match for Dr. Britt Baker, D.M.D, because I got to introduce her that way every single time now after her amazing Lights Out match with Thunder Rosa, which we didn't do a review on St. Patrick's Day Slam, but that was a freaking amazing women's match is what that was. And Britt Baker is over like a mother now, and it looks like she's your next AEW women's champion.
Yeah, it was one of those matches where even though Thunder Rosa won, because remember it was Lights Out, it didn't count. Baker still looked so good in defeat that you can't help but not push her now. This has been a title shot like a year and a half in the making. Remember, she turned heel in the beginning of 2020, and she cut that god-awful promo on the Jericho Cruise. That god-awful promo that people were saying that was probably the worst promo in AEW history. Yep. And then she, as a heel, she got better. She got injured, and she worked on the promos, and she worked on her character work. And she came back better than ever. She had this match. Remember, Sheeta's the one that injured her in the first place. So This is all going to come full circle at Double or Nothing.
As Britt Baker ascends to the top of the mountain. Because it's time for Sheeta to lose this belt, guys.
She did it the right way, too. Kayfabe-wise, she said, okay, I need to be the number one ranked woman to challenge Sheeta for the title. Okay. She won some matches on Elevation Dark. Number one contender. Simple as that.
Yep. There you go. And she's taking on a woman by the name of Julia Hart, who Jim Ross does say is from Calgary, of course. It's your basic squash match. It's like your 1-star match for effort. Dr. Baker basically wins with the lockjaw after showing off some impressive offense.
It was a blink and it was a blink and you miss it kind of match.
Was there ever any doubt?
I don't know about you. I for one am ready to accept my new dentist queen as the AEW Women's Champion.
Yes. I need a reference so I can get an appointment with Dr. Baker.
I was just gonna say if she's taking new clients, I would love to go see her, but I don't want her to punch me in the jaw and knock my teeth out.
No.
Anywho.
Nope. nothing like that, please. Baker's
something just tells me that my insurance isn't going to cover Britt Baker's services.
No, because she is your next AEW Women's Champion. So there you go.
Yeah.
Next up, going from the women's division to the tag team division, we were talking a little bit about this earlier. It's a fatal four-way tag team match. They called it an eliminator, but it wasn't an elimination match by any stretch. The winners face the Bucks for the tag titles next week. Not a double or nothing, because Moxley and Kingston are getting that shot, obviously, and not one of these four established tag teams. But you have SCU, the Varsity Blondes, one half of which is Brian Pillman's son, which is really, really cool to see. You have Jurassic Express with their awesome theme music, and the Acclaimed. Max Caster is a freaking star. I'm just going to come out and say it. He is fucking money, because
Yes, he
comes
is.
out and he cuts his vicious battle rap. It wasn't as vicious as the one at Revolution, but his best line was referring to the Varsity Blondes and saying the only program we'll be seeing you on is Dark Side of the Ring. And I'm like, easy, easy. No, there's no. That was.
I like this one because Max Caster backed off of the real life politics and he delved deep into wrestling politics. I think the main reason, okay, I'm going to make a very bold statement right now because I love the Acclaim. Max Caster, in more ways than one, does remind me of a young John Cena. He really does.
That's a bold statement. That's a hot take there.
That's a bold statement because he does the rap gimmick, yes, but it's his own spin. John Cena's raps were very good. You wanted to hear Cena obliterate his opponents. But Caster, every single time you hear that music hit, the first thing that comes to your mind is, oh my God, what's he going to say this week? Oh my God, what reference is he going to say this week? Oh my God, what controversial statement is he going to say this week? And it makes you tune in. When I hear the Acclaim's music, I stop what I'm doing. I put my phone down. My eyes are glued to the screen.
Let me put it this way.
And when I saw Caster...
let me put it this way to you all. If John Cena is like a pipe bomb, Max Caster is a nuclear explosion. That's the best way I can put it. Like,
and when I saw Caster in the ring, and when he was like kind of, sizing up his opponents, it reminded me of Cena when he was a heel. And that's when it clicked in my head. I'm like, not to an extent of like Cena's work ethic. I see a little bit of that old school thug Cena in Max Caster. And take nothing away from Anthony Bowens too. This is a team that I know there, as no one likes to admit it, but there is a glass ceiling in AEW. And unfortunately, the Young Bucks are above that glass ceiling. If it wasn't for the Bucks, you slap those fucking tag team titles on the Acclaim.
I would love to see them beat the Bucks at some point soon, but we'll see. We'll see. But shout out to the beautiful beautiful chain wrestling sequence between Kazarian and Jungle Boy to start this off. Those two clicked super well, and they did get a very polite applause from a very appreciative audience. All hell does break loose early because, it's a multi-team tag match. It's not Texas Tornado, but the Jurassic Express are the ones that hold the ring, and they are freaking awesome. I mean, you have Luchasaurus hitting, like, Aleister Black's kick. You do have Brian Pillman Jr., by the way. He does spitting image of his father, which is, it's spooky looking at him. But he did get a couple of very close near falls in this match, and I was like, man, the Varsity Blondes are really going to go over in this, but not really. SCU does go over just to kind of bury the lead, and you have the nice BME spike pile driver. I don't remember who they hit it on. Was it Pillman or was it his partner?
Griff Garrison. I think it was Griff Garrison. Yeah,
it was Griff. Okay, yeah, Griff Garrison. Thank you. Yeah, names escape me sometimes.
But no, it's okay. So this match was very fun. This match was very fun. It showcased the tag teams very well and what they can do and how good AEW's tag team division is. I, at one point, wanted to see oh my God, I almost said Lucha Express. Jurassic Express. There's so many expresses in experience.
Yep.
I wanted to see Jurassic Express go over because they're over as hell and they were doing very well in the match. But as you heard last week, SCU came out and they challenged the Bucks. So it was pretty freaking obvious that SCU was going to win this match. That being said, it is very obvious that SCU was going to lose this match next week. And it is very obvious that SCU is no longer going to be a team. I don't know if Daniels is going to start considering retirement, and I don't know what that means for Kazarian, but
yeah,
I don't know if I'm prepared for this match next week.
No, Daniels isn't getting any younger, unfortunately, and Kazarian can hold his own as a singles guy, no doubt about it. But yeah, I think the writing's on the wall here. This was the match to be the pinfall guys for the Bucks next week. If the Jurassics were gonna win this match, I'd like them to win the titles too. So it's all good.
Oh yeah,
it's all good.
Also, friendly reminder that Christopher Daniels and Frankie Kazarian, under 3 different tag team names, have been teaming since 2012. That is amazing. You do not see longevity in tag teams like that nowadays.
Nope.
And Impact Wrestling as the bad influence, and Ring of Honor as the addiction, and now SoCal Uncensored and AEW and the independent circuit. You do not see longevity in tag teams like that anymore. And bravo, SCU.
There you go. Hats off to you guys. If there was one good thing out of the Claire Lynch angle, it was this tag team here. So there you go, guys.
Absolutely.
Speaking of number 1 contenders matches, Tomas, next week you're getting Pac versus Orange Cassidy, and the winner faces Kenny Omega at Double or Nothing. Guys, I'm finna need Orange Cassidy challenging for this world title. I don't know about you, Tomas, but this promo Omega
Zack,
cut made me want to see this.
You definitely talked me off the ledge when it came to this match, because when I heard the announcement, I kind of did a double take. I was like, wait, what? Pac and Orange Cassidy, those are your 2 choices? No Hangman Adam Page? There's nobody else on the roster that you could consider taking on Kenny Omega, which is slowly becoming AEW's WrestleMania. That's Double or Nothing. But, you explained to me why this is a good thing, and then Omega started talking, and he brought up a good point. A couple years ago, we got Pac versus Kenny Omega, and it went to a TV limit draw. I'm still bitter about that match.
Yeah.
We never got to see a proper winner out of that match. And we could finally get that again. And it could be amazing. But he brushed Orange Cassidy off. Totally didn't even acknowledge him. And just said that he's going to fight Pac at Double or Nothing. Here comes Orange Cassidy. And Orange Cassidy proceeds to take the most brutal verbal beatdown I have ever seen in my life. He just sits there and takes it. As Omega just sounds off on him.
That's what's so amazing about Orange Cassidy. He doesn't have to do a goddamn thing, and he is still over with the crowd. Like, everybody, I'm seeing so many freshly squeezed shirts out there, and they really fucking want to see Orange Cassidy beat the shit out of Kenny Omega now. And
I think Omega even took Cassidy's glasses off his face, said that he was copying them, gave them to Nakazawa, and said Nakazawa looks better with them on. It's like just classic schoolyard bullying from Omega. And that promo alone just makes you want to see Orange Cassidy win this match. And remember, Pac beat Orange Cassidy at Revolution in 2020. I think it's time for Cassidy to get his win back.
It's time for Orange Cassidy to climb the mountain, man. I never thought I would say it, but it's time. Speaking of long overdue, the best man comes out and cuts a little bit of a promo here, and he says he's ready for some gold. The title collector has come to collect, basically, is what he's saying. And he's saying, Darby Allin, next week, I'm getting your TNT title. And guys, we're having a new TNT champion next week, too. Because Miro is so over as a heel. He's going to be freaking unstoppable with this title. I'm manifesting it right now. Darby Allin had a good, 4 or 5 months, 6 months maybe with this belt. It's time for Miro to take it. It's time.
Miro is going to murder him.
Yes, he totally is. He's going to squish that little pipsqueak like a bug. Yep. That's all, and Miro actually said, he's like, oh, Darby Allin, you're not afraid of dying? Well, next week, come prepared because I'm going to freaking kill you. Miro's the best, man. I love
The
that
exact
guy.
quote was, "The man who doesn't mind dying is gonna lose to the man that doesn't mind killing you." That was beautiful.
One of the best Miro promos I think I've ever heard in my
Pure
life.
poetry by Miro.
But loved it.
Yeah.
And it didn't feel scripted either. So there you go.
No.
Here we go, guys. Speaking of long overdue, the Blood and Guts match, the Inner Circle versus the Pinnacle. Basically what this is your classic WCW War Games style match, even though they can't call it War Games because wink, wink, NXT holds that trademark there. You can only win by submission or surrender, which was the classic rules back in WCW. The Pinnacle does get the 2-on-1 advantage, and we do start off with Dax Harwood, which was interesting, one member of FTR, going up against Sammy Guevara. I love the Inner Circle as the motivational baby faces now. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the crowd singing their song and Jericho smiling the biggest grin I've ever seen when he hears his song being sung out there, but I don't know, man.
And that's when you saw how big the crowd was.
Yep. That's when you heard how big the crowd was.
Nice crowd.
That's when you heard how big the crowd was.
That was a nice crowd.
There was a guy in the crowd that had a sign that said, "All I want for my birthday is to sing Judas," and there it is. he got his wish.
I loved the prison jumpsuits that the Inner Circle were wearing to the ring because they knew they were getting into a prison fight tonight.
They certainly were. Also, special shout out to FDR with their JBL inspired gear tonight. Don't think I didn't see that.
Oh yeah,
I saw that for sure.
Yeah.
Dax Harwood hits a beautiful looking spine buster on Sammy, and he goes for a pinfall right away. No pinfalls, and the match didn't even start.
Nope.
Stupid ass heels. Dax Harwood was already bleeding off the steel.
Guevara was getting pretty creative in the beginning of this match. He did this great spot, which I knew he was going to do, where he did a springboard off of one set of the ropes into the second rings. He springboard from one set of ropes to the other and then landed on Dax Harwood, which was a great spot.
Yeah,
I knew he was going to pull that off pretty early in the match.
Springboard cutter by Sammy. Sammy was an over babyface. I was not expecting this out of Sammy Guevara. He was feeding off the crowd's energy so much. And the crowd was actually chanting Sammy Guevara's name like it was filled with Jaguars cheerleaders. But, you know, he's the Spanish god. He's a ladies' man. So there you go.
Oh, yeah.
Shawn Spears is the next one in, and he makes a beeline for Sammy Guevara after that vicious promo that Sammy cut on him last week. And, of course, Shawn Spears enters with a steel chair because that's the only way he can get over. But anyway, I'm sorry. Sorry, not sorry. You know, yeah, the 10 chance. Oh man, he doesn't do the 10 anymore.
He went to town with that chair on Guevara, and this is where the match started getting a little brutal.
Yeah, and then Ortiz runs into the ring for the Inner Circle, and he chucks the chair at Shawn Spears, just bring it style. Man, is that satisfying? It's got to be satisfying.
Oh yeah.
But good Lord.
When has the last time you've seen a chair shot to the head? Because there was a lot of those in this match.
There was a lot of them. I don't know how necessary they were, though. Like, did they really have to?
Really trying to push that.
Yeah, like, especially after all the concussions in the ruthless aggression era that Tomas and I are discussing right now. Like, it just doesn't really sit well with me these days. But what a Spanish fly by Sammy Guevara. He got really creative on that with Shawn Spears, and it was like bridging both rings together because we totally forgot to mention there were 2 rings in Daly's place for this, and the cage is covering up both rings, just like classic War Games. But Sammy Guevara does do a Spanish fly springboard and off the top rope there from one ring to the next. What a spot. What a spot. Gotta love that.
The presentation was really good for this match. If this was AEW's answer to NXT TakeOver Stand and Deliver, they nailed it because the crowd was there, the feeling was there, the environment was there. Yeah, I think that's the best thing that this match gave.
Well, I guess you can say they stood and they delivered. I'll see myself out now, but Cash Wheeler is the next one in, matching JBL gear with Dax Harwood. There was one point where he hits a gory special on Ortiz into the cage, and it looked absolutely brutal because Ortiz not only hit the cage face first, but he fell all the way to the floor in between the apron and the cage. Ouch. Ouch.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
these guys were starting to get a little reckless in this match, and that's where some of the sloppiness came in. I feel so bad for Guevara. He got a little too trigger happy with those springboards, and he went for another springboard splash, but he tripped. He tripped off of the first set of the ropes. He was able to catch himself on the second, but then he just tumbled after that.
Completely
Poor guy ate shit.
Yeah, completely ate shit from one rig to another. Thankfully, he was okay, and he finished the match. But Santana is next. This is one thing I was kind of like, you know, this was a very predictable order of entry, I thought, because you had basically your mid-carders, Sammy Guevara and Shawn Spears, as the workhorses, and then you have the tag teams come in pretty soon after that, and then you get the big hosses, which we'll get to, and then you have the two leaders go in dead last. MJF and Jericho were saved for the very end, but Santana was a house of fire. I forgot to mention that Santana and Ortiz had face paint. Don't know exactly what it was.
That was cool.
But yeah, these guys were ready for war. Beautiful Uranagi on Cash. I'm pretty sure Santana was the one that hit it. Wardlow was the next one in the cage during the picture-in-picture. I don't know about you, Tomas. I think Wardlow still may be money. If they wanted I'm just saying, if they want to give Wardlow a singles push, I'm not opposed. Not opposed.
He really showed his best tonight. He's starting to grow on me because he's improving.
Yeah, he's
starting to shrug off some of those doubts that I had.
It's certainly got the look, and he's, you know, the work is starting to get a little bit better each match he has. Speaking of hosses, Jake Hager is next, and he's not a very good babyface. He cleans house, though. He does. Yeah. He does lock in the ankle lock on Shawn Spears, and Shawn Spears is tapping there like a little bitch. But the match can't end yet. Match can't end.
Okay, I marked out for the ankle lock because Jake Hager has not used the ankle lock in AEW to this point, has he not?
I don't think so. I was just about to say.
Me mark out.
Yep.
I was this close to calling it the Patriot lock.
We the people. Oh, remember when that was
but no, that was good. Hager's not a very good babyface, but he cleaned house, and his offense was pretty clean too. He hit a Hager bomb. He locked in the ankle lock. He was looking pretty good in this match, and I liked the big pause fight he had with Wardlow.
Oh, it was so good. It was reminiscent of New Year's Smash, which I believe we also talked about not too long ago. But shortly after this Haas fight, MJF enters the cage, and the crowd, deservedly so, showers this shithead with boos, asshole chants, the works. I've missed these live crowds, man. It was so awesome.
Sneaky little shit enters the match last so he can pick the bones of the inner circle.
Yep.
And every single time someone from the inner circle starts to get some offense on MJF, boom, the Pinnacle is right there to protect him.
And he runs away.
MJF is just there to pick the bones. He's there to pick the bones.
Yep. Until Chris Jericho himself enters the cage. And I don't know how JR didn't say this.
This is what we wanted to see.
Angle. The battle lines have been drawn. It's literally the visual we got. Invasion angle. The battle lines have been drawn.
Business was about to pick up.
Yep. Another JR trope right there. We do see Floyd the baseball bat not too long after Jericho enters the cage, which was awesome to see. He chokes Shawn Spears with the trust of the side of the cage. Oh, God, that was a sick spot.
Yeah, because Spears tries to climb up the cage to avoid Floyd, but Jericho does it and sticks his head in the truss, which was a pretty nasty visual. I thought Spears was just going to be hanging there by his neck.
That's my biggest praise for this match. This legitimately felt like war. It's not called Blood and Guts for nothing. I mean, obviously you don't see real live organs in the ring there, but Bloody
The
this
crowd
match
wanted it, though.
certainly was. Yep.
The crowd wanted it, though. They were chanting, "We want guts."
Yep. Cash Wheeler was, it was at this point I noticed that Cash Wheeler was bleeding buckets. Like, good Lord, both members of FTR bladed really hard. And they also took a page out of DIY's playbook by cutting open the ring canvas, exposing the pine wood underneath. And they do take spike pile drivers on that pine wood, which could not have been comfortable.
That was nasty.
Good Lord.
And then, speaking of guts, this is probably the goriest the match got, because Santana and Ortiz pull out forks from their suits that are taped up. And they hold MJF down, and there is this look of horror on MJF's face as he has to take a fork to the face. My only one question is, where was my "you sick fuck" chance?
Where were my "you deserve it" chance? Because MJF totally deserved it.
Because Santana and Ortiz are a couple of sick fucks.
They are a couple of sick fucks. They're savages. Like, MJF is bleeding all over the place. Santana's licking the fork after he does it. I'm like, Jesus. Like,
oof.
My goodness. Where were the PWG "you sick fuck" chants out there?
That was probably my favorite visual of the match right there.
Yeah, very, very reminiscent of Abdullah the Butcher, indeed. But Chris Jericho ends up choking Wardlow with Floyd, also bringing him back into the action. Wardlow, after this, pitches Sammy Guevara into fucking space. And I'm like, yeah, Sammy's a small man compared to Wardlow, and so they can for sure do that.
Oh, yeah. This is when Wardlow started cleaning house, with Santana, Ortiz, and Guevara then get chairs, and they go to town on Wardlow. And this is the only way to take the big man down.
Wardlow took a couple of sick chair shots to the head, which I felt were kind of unnecessary, but it was at this moment where I noticed my biggest nitpick with the match. Another fucking commercial. I feel like a lot of the important moments were in that picture-in-picture. Like, this would have been perfect for pay-per-view.
I agree. It would have been. Imagine War Games with commercials. I'd be pulling my hair out.
Oh man, it was aggravating after a while, but it's not like it's AEW's fault. They got to make money off their sponsors, you know?
Yeah, let's just say there's a reason why we chose to watch night 1 of NXT TakeOver on Peacock, because we didn't want commercials.
Yep, exactly right. But it's during this picture-in-picture where you notice MJF climbing the cage to try and escape Chris Jericho and try and find higher ground. Jericho ends up following him after slamming the door in Tully Blanchard's face, who was sitting there ringside. And this is pretty much the entire finish of the match, is Jericho versus MJF on the roof of the cage. I wrote down walls on the roof. There's your paradox. There's your paradox. You know, and MJF does one of the most creative shithead counters out of the walls of Jericho with a dick punch by the dickhead, of course. You know, it's and then MJF locks in a Fujiwara armbar, because remember, you can only win this match by submission or surrender.
The salt of the earth.
Oh, the salt of the earth. MJF is a piece of shit, man. And then he pulls out here's another thing before I get to this finish. You say Max Caster is a young John Cena. MJF is a young Randy Orton. He really is.
Oh, yes.
Like, I see it a lot in the way he wrestles, the way he operates in a match, the way he carries himself. It's very reminiscent of if, like, you know, Randy Orton from 2005, like how he interacts with fans in real life. That's how he is in character. And, like, he plays that character in real life, too. So, good Lord, man. Tomas and I have both said on many an occasion, I feel like if we met MJF in real life, he would send us home crying to our mommies. But you know how it is. But MJF does pull out that Dynamite diamond ring punch to Jericho, and that's how Jericho starts bleeding on top of the cage. And this is where Tomas starts to have a bit of a problem with this match, I'm assuming. He brings Jericho to the edge of the cage, and he's like, surrender or I'm going to throw this son of a bitch off. And then Sammy, you hear him say, we surrender, and that's the end. You think MJF is not going to throw Jericho off, but the shithead pushes him off anyway onto a crash pad. So there you go.
So I felt like a deflated balloon by that ending.
Why?
I mean, I understand it. It was a shitty heel thing to do, and it was a smart heel thing to do. But I just felt like this was the blow off to this feud. And now I feel like it's not over. Because I feel like this feud needs to end with the Inner Circle on top.
Yeah. This is what I was thinking here. I actually really loved this finish because it does play very old school WCW here with the surrender finish. And then the heel pushing the top babyface off the top anyway. I feel like this is ending with Stadium Stampede too. I'm really, really hoping for that at Double or Nothing, and that's how the Inner Circle gets their win back.
So I don't want to shit in your stew, but
that's fine.
Don't you think Stadium Stampede might be a little too silly for this feud at this point?
I mean, I feel like that's the Inner Circle's match, though. I feel like they'd want to challenge them to their own game, but don't get me wrong. I
understand that, and I don't understand.
I don't think a Stadium Stampede 2 would be as entertaining as it was last year. That's for damn sure. With this crop of talent, and
for sure.
Because last year had Hangman. Last year you had Broken Matt and Matt Hardy version 1 popping up. Like, this one you have MJF and FTR. Like, not to say that those guys can't be as entertaining as last year, but hell, I'd love to see it, and that's how I'd love to see it end. But
for sure. Unfortunately, also I feel like Jericho's going to get written off TV for a lot longer than Double or Nothing.
Oh, you think so?
That's a written off TV spot right there.
It is a written off TV spot. And yes, I am seeing all you AEW marks on Twitter that are like, oh shit, Matt Hardy, the match should have been stopped after Matt Hardy took the bump on the concrete. And then some of you same assholes are like, oh, Jericho should have fallen on concrete. That bump didn't look stiff at all.
So let's just get this out of the way.
Make up your mind.
If WWE did that spot, they'd be shitting themselves.
Yeah.
They would be shitting a live cow.
Especially with someone as delicate as Chris Jericho is right now in his career. Like, say what you want about Jericho being in great shape, but
I'm sorry.
The man's pushing 50 right now. So.
We can't be breaking people's necks on live TV. If they're going to take a spot like that, yes, it's going to be on a crash pad.
Yes. 150,000%.
So I'm just going to say, I thought the spot looked cool, but if WWE did that spot, everybody would be shitting a live horse right now.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. But yeah, I gave the match 4.5 stars.
I gave the match 4 stars.
I gave it 4.5.
4 stars.
I think this was a bloody battle. It really felt like a war. It truly lived up to its name. It was very entertaining. The only couple things holding it back from 5 stars, little too botchy here and there. And also all the damn commercials got aggravating after a while. But
in AEW's defense, also remember that they're still an adolescent wrestling company. They're not going to have the crispness and the smoothness of something like NXT War Games, but I do appreciate the effort, and there was still a lot of good in this match. They're only a couple of years old, and they're still like in the learning phase. It's good to get these kinks out now. And, for a wrestling company that shouldn't have survived this pandemic, good for them. I'm glad there's an alternative I can watch right now.
Same. And I think Tony Khan is doing a great job running this thing. I love the visual of MJF triumphant on top of the cage, literally on the Pinnacle. Like, think about that for a second, guys. That was unbelievable visual. And it's so awesome.
Looking like the douchiest douche that ever douched.
Yes. Couldn't have put it any better. Oh boy.
Yeah,
but
this was a fun match.
It was, fun match, fun show. Is the undercard really gonna be memorable next week?
No.
Probably not. This was the definition of a one-match show, but the main event was really, really awesome. If I'm being really generous, I'm probably gonna give this show a 7. But if I'm thinking more realistically, it's probably like a 6.5, 6 3/4. But
I'll give it a 7. It was a fun night. And again, the crowd helped. The crowd really helped make this show feel alive.
Yeah, crowd certainly helped, but they're not like the make or break of a show. It's all about the action in the ring along with the crowd, you know. But
good point, because there have been some empty arena shows that have been really good, and again, having a crowd there wouldn't have made or broken that either.
Yeah, for sure. For a match that was throwing shots at a statement Vince McMahon made, they certainly delivered. But my friend, I think that's just gonna about do it for this iteration of our little podcast. A few things for you guys to look forward to. Of course, I've got my traditional movie reviews over here. We're gonna be looking at WrestleMania Backlash in a couple of weeks, which should be fun, otherwise known as Triple Threat Match Mania. You also have Armageddon 2002. Tomas and I are finally finishing off that year this month, which is nuts to me. Time has flown by so quickly.
Wow.
You know, it's crazy. And a few of you guys in the comments have requested that we do continue to 2003, which, you know, I feel like we were planning on doing anyway. And of course, we're going to look at Double or Nothing at the end of the month. So, yeah, you got that to look forward to and much, much more. If you guys are interested in discussing this content along with us, hit that big red subscribe button down below. It's right in front of you. I mean, you can go ahead and celebrate. Hit that red button as hard as you possibly can. Hit that thumbs up button on your way out. It would really mean the world to us. But, yeah, I think that's just going to about do it, guys, for us. With all that being said, Mac Talk, commence.